Walked in, we're already done.
I get so excited when I saw that text message go out for cancellations until I read the, I was like, oh, come on. Like, they're so close.
I kind of had the same feeling, and I thought, then you have to make it up. You got to
That's
figure out
right.
another date, reschedule.
No.
Yeah, but man, just slipping and sliding. You were here at 6:30. We were gonna give you till 6:30.
We had a quorum.
We had 5 people. We're like, hey.
So you didn't have a faculty meeting and talk about like area to focus on? That's for sure.
Hey, how you doing?
When's the game gonna be rescheduled, you know?
I'm hoping Thursday.
Thursday, great. Good.
Yeah.
I just saw it as like a risk. My kids wanted to break. There's no place for it to put on the desk. I don't want that responsibility.
I'm gonna say.
I get a fancy tablet that I don't need.
Yeah, I knew you did because we talked about the guidance. Good to know.
Well, when I started there, the PSDS, I mean, mine was big, even bigger than that. It was big, so I have like tablets on that, meeting stuff, like.
Okay, no, there's like a new file here, but it's a certain thing. Is it a
Well, I don't
certain
think the
designation?
dates
Yeah, with our national affiliation. Because Elko just went to that last year.
Yeah, I don't know.
Y'all keep that in mind. Right now, they're putting their slides on, which is nice. They normally don't. Their slides on the page, operate that.
Well, all of four and all of fifth, but I probably need to give up all of it.
But when they don't, yeah.
That the message is consistent?
Yeah.
Email.
Thank you.
Hello, Mr. Rick. I'm going to say hi. I'm not going to shake your hand. I've been coughing a little bit, so I don't want to make anybody sick.
Hopefully it's not related to yesterday's escapade.
Yeah, but
It's
it could hurt. I enjoy it. I think more of this need to go through some of that. It is really refreshing to talk to the board members and realize that you're not crazy. Or the other people have worse. Nothing, you know, I hate to say that in a good way, but it makes me feel good.
Depending to that one.
No, but I've got mine too.
Hiding. I know, hiding.
Depending if the Apple one and her phone.
No, the time's irrelevant.
We had this stomach flu, so I stayed out.
You did.
We all did, yeah. My 10-year-old Christmas break. Fabulous.
We had the chest thing.
We had that.
Ash got pneumonia, and I got bronchitis.
Caleb had bronchitis, and then the other one's got a stomach bug that then turned into fever and coughing, so it's just like.
Hey, how are you? Good to see you. There he is. He was the one. He was the guy that's real. And everything.
Was he the one that was? Well, maybe this stuff.
Good. I know.
She will, she will. Right.
Last night.
I'll have to bring this back here.
Next week. This won't be the first time he shows up on her show.
I think you should ask him.
We should just get like a little pattern
to the January 7th committee meeting of the Northern London School District. I'd like to call this meeting to order. We'll begin with public comment. We have one public comment so far, that is Leanne Snyder. Please go to the podium and state your name and address.
Good evening, everyone. I just use my teacher voice and speak to the crowd tonight. Forgive me for not being here so much as I usually am, but I have a busy young citizen at home that needs a chauffeur. Oh, sorry, still not using my teacher voice. I'm here this evening as a parent and an educator and a grandparent in the school district, and I'm here to welcome our new school board members, welcome our fairly new superintendent. As a parent, I haven't had a chance to do that. I want to thank you for serving the citizens of Northern Lebanon, and I wish to implore you to stick with it. Over this past several years, occasionally school board members have not been happy with the game and picked up the ball and went home. And I'm just imploring you to stick with us. It's going to be some tough times ahead, but also some great times ahead. And I thank you for doing that for us. Also, things like, please don't threaten to quit on us either. We need you. We've elected you, and we need you to stick with us. Again, I'm a parent. I've had a school-age student in my own home for over 20 years now. Our child will be a senior next year, our youngest, and then our oldest grandchild will be a kindergartner in the school district. So I'm in it for the next 18 years or so. Forgive me. So again, just welcome. Thank you for being here for us as because we've elected you and we appreciate your work. Secondly, I want to implore parents. We have a role as members of this district to help our kiddos be great students. Help them be prepared to come to school. Are they sleeping well? Are they eating well? Are they leaving their home with a good feeling every morning? That's really important as educators. Not many parents to talk to tonight, but it's the message I always try to share as a teacher. Sorry, I ran in here, I'm out of breath still. Secondly, I keep asking myself, what can I do in my little role as a parent to help all the kids here at Northern Lebanon? And one thing I know is to show up. I'm trying to do my best to show up not only for my kids' activities, but for the activities of other students in the building. I usually go to the guys' basketball games. Well, you know what? We tried out a girls' basketball game the other night. I don't have a kid in music anymore, but we attended some band things this year. I have an FFA student. I have a field hockey player. I try to catch all of those things. I'm fortunate to be able to work with some little kids too, and I try to encourage them in their schoolwork, just as a friend and a neighbor. How's school going for you? I noticed that you're studying this or whatever. I saw the team had a great win. Oh, tough loss the other night. But to engage with your neighbors, engage with your family members, even with strangers in the grocery store. You see a kid with a Jonestown Elementary t-shirt on, don't be creepy, but say, give him hands up, fingers up, thumbs up. Keep working hard, buddy. That's the only way that I know that I can help all the students here in the district where I live. So I would just encourage parents to do that. Be positive when you can, stick up for your kids when you need to, but be there for them. Thank you and good luck.
Thank you.
Mrs. Snyder, I appreciate that. I'd like to offer one other suggestion as you talk to parents. We have a percentage of a little over 40% of our students who are involved in extracurricular activities, and I'd love to see that number go up. And I don't care what it is. I don't care if it's band or if it's bowling or if it's musical with the plays or basketball, whatever. But I'd love to see our kids, because we do have strong youth programs and we lose that at some point. And part of school pride, I think, is being involved in something. So encourage them to get their kids in something that they enjoy and stick with it even when it's tough. So,
Sign of a
thank you.
healthy school when you have high participation rate.
That's right. Thank you.
Can I make one comment on that? One quick, I'm sorry, I don't mean to be here. I think you're right, we had great participation in this school, but only certain sports get recognized. And this is one of the things that I've been striving for the last 5 years. If you take, and I'm gonna use bowling as an example. Bowling has been the #1 sport in this school district for many years, and they never get recognized. And I've talked to Coach George, who does the announcements, and nothing gets done. A lot of my kids come back and tell me nothing was ever discussed about if we won or lost. But
If you get me, shoot me an email with your results and have
I
live.
go to,
Give them to
my
me,
AD,
give them to me, and
I
I
give
will,
them to
I will get
John.
them on the announcements for you, Mr. Shirk. And, if, you know, Liza can drop them off, she stops by, I don't know if you know this, but she
Yeah.
stops by to get some candy every now and then with my daughter.
yeah, I know that.
But we will work on that, you get me the information, we'll get them recognized.
Well, I appreciate that, because you got, this year, I don't know if you all know, but, tomorrow, Langston newspaper is doing an interview on Ambrose and Eliza. Ambrose is going to be attending the University of Campbellsville in Kentucky. Eliza, she's #8 in the nation. So we have some great potential in this school. And I'm not just saying bowling, there's a lot of kids in this school that have athletic abilities. And it's all driven, if you're only one sport, you're one sport only. I opened mine up to all the sports. Bryce Hines wanted to play basketball and bowl last year, I allowed him to do it. So, again, and what she reiterated, what she said, welcome to everybody back on this board, and with your help and the public's help, maybe we can get this school district turned around and move in the right direction. And with your all help, I think we're gonna do it.
Thank you, Mr. Shirk.
Thank you.
Not maybe, we will.
Oh, yeah.
Thank you for your comments. Are there any other public comments this evening? All right, moving on. The minutes shall note that public notice was given for the meeting in accordance with Act 84 of 1986. Notices and advisements of these meetings will carry the intent that limited business may be conducted on any scheduled meeting date. Item number 4, our consent calendar. Dr. Messinger.
Under number 4, the first few items, approval, we will bring to you the approval of minutes from our December meeting, the student activity count and the cash disbursements at the next meeting.
Item number 5 is budget and finance.
This is an annual agreement with us and New Story. For this year, it's 8 students. And you can see the amount there for the 2019-2020 school year. So we have that agreement for your approval.
Also part of the consent calendar, item number 6, buildings and grounds.
Annual request to have a summer work crew. You can see there for a student, 8 students and a supervisor. And then also 2 students for the technology department. And then also disposal as outlined in our policy of old district cell phones.
Item number 7, extracurricular activities.
Approval of Modern Band Club, advisor Greg Innes. And that club will focus on producing school-appropriate popular rock music. I'd love to hear that.
Item number 8 is the curriculum committee.
The 2 policies that we brought to you before, that'll be the final adoption. Also, final adoption of the driver's education and American Sign Language 3 courses. And then finally, some information for you there. Sarah Zerman was named as Lebanon County Career and Technical Center Student of the Month for the CTC Dental Assistant Program. And she was recognized at the Rotary Club meeting December 10th. And then also we have some LDC Junior Block pre-student teachers listed for you.
Item number 9, human relations.
Normal things there, approve the employment of professional substitutes for teachers that are requesting leave. We have a resignation for you. Frank DiAugustino would like to wish him well. He's going to become an assistant principal in another district. And he's moving on to try that chapter in his life. And then those, the employments that are listed there for you as well. I met Mr. Lum today, had a chance to talk with him. He's very excited. And sorry, it's at the very bottom there. The staff advancement for academic credits to bachelor's plus 24.
Are there any questions or comments on any of the consent items? That's items 4 through 9.
I just have one question, and it's not necessarily about the item, but with the resignation of the math teacher, what does this do for our middle school math right now?
It doesn't help us. There was some question as to how to fill that void, to turn to folks in-house. Because of the timing of it, and here in December, we did post it because you never know if you're going to be able to get someone who's graduating in December who may be a quality candidate. So we're going to, if we get some good applicants, we're going to get them in and see if we can find a rock star. If we cannot, we may look in-house and try to move someone with some experience just to get us through until May graduations.
Okay.
Yeah.
Any other questions or comments about the consent items?
Gary, can you just talk a little bit about news story? I did Google it, but is there?
It's an alternate placement for special education. Mr. Reese, anything?
Higher needs special education students that we can't meet here. They have multiple campuses. One's Harrisburg, one's Cumberland. There's 8 students, or 7 students currently. We'd be adding 8 more.
I have an additional question on this. Is that per student? Is that all of you?
I think there's a wording error there. It should say $2,830 daily. It's a daily.
Just a daily?
Mr. Reese, do you know how that compares to previous years? Is that
It's on par with
what we've done in the past?
If there are no other comments or questions, we will move on to item 10. These are our items for discussion.
I think we need to make those consent.
Are all board members okay with items 4 through 9 being consent items next week? Sorry about that. Item 10 includes 2 things up for discussion tonight.
Actually, one's for discussion and voting tonight. One is just to let you know about for next week. I certainly will answer any questions about it tonight if you'd like. The first one, though, is a building use request. And the reason why it's for voting tonight is because it is prior to the board meeting next Tuesday. It's a request from Nathan Bevins, who is a graduate of Northern Lebanon. His mom works for the district. And it is a pre-deployment activity that they want to do, military warrior task training. They would like to use basically wrestling rooms so they can have the mats for this training. They did request it on Sunday at 10:30. However, we need them to adjust times due to a wrestling event that morning, which is fine. But we would need approval for the usage. Mason's going to work out the times with them so it doesn't conflict with pre-existing things. But we need to approve the request if we want to allow them to use the wrestling room for that.
I assume for situations like this, when we allow other organizations to use the building, we require them to have their own insurance policies. That's the government, so I assume they do.
That is correct, and we do have that.
Okay.
Great.
And the mats, a couple years ago, we talked about getting new mats. Are these new mats in the wrestling area?
They have,
Are they-
they have one set of old ones
Jay, will the new ones be in the main gym?
The new ones will probably be in the main gym, because we have a wrestling event that day, youth wrestling event. So we'll have 2 mats opened up in the main gym, and the auxiliary gym will have 1 mat. So I'm assuming they'll just use the one that we already have set up for them. We'll just pick that up and be out there by noon or something.
Thank you.
Any other questions or comments? So because we are voting on this item this evening, we'd now like to ask if there's any public comment on this item. All right, hearing none, may I have a motion to approve the building use request from Nathan Bevins for military warrior task training on Sunday, January 12th?
So moved.
Second?
Is there any discussion? This is a unanimous roll call vote. Your vote will be recorded in the affirmative unless I hear nay or abstain. Motion passed.
Okay, the second item there is actually for voting next time during the regular meeting. However, I put it on there, I did not put it in consent items because I think it may be, I just want to refresh everyone's memory. I believe when Brooke initially came, they were tasked with going through the board policies and making sure they were up to date. I know that when we've looked at some of the policies already, a lot of our policies are from 1987, which is the year I graduated, so I appreciate you not changing anything since I left. And others are 1995, 1996. There were very few that were newer than that, to be honest. But one of the recommendations that they made was we had separate categories for our professional employees, our classified employees, and our administrative employees. And they recommended consolidating the 300s, 400s, and 500s into one employment category, the 300s. There may still be specifics to each of those within that 300, within the policy itself. There may be something different for administrators. Obviously, they work a different amount of days than the professional employees do. However, most of the language is repetitive. So that was the recommendation. However, I don't think we've actually ever officially approved it as a board. And before we start getting through the 300s and having to delete the 400s and 500s, I wanted to make sure that everyone was aware of that. If they have questions, Brooke will be here next week. We can certainly ask those questions. But at that point, we would officially vote to do that. Because what that will mean then is as we replace the 300s, the 400s and 500s will then, we'll be getting rid of them. Okay, so that's why it's on there. I certainly try to answer any questions now, but if you have other questions, Brooke can answer them next week. We gave her the night off with the snow. Anything now?
I have a couple of questions. So with the elimination of the 400 and 500, are we going to implement the separate 300 at the same time? Or are we going to eliminate the 400 and 500 prior to the
No, what we would do is as we approve, like there's 2 300 policies next week for the final approval. Okay. So as we approve those, we could then bring the corresponding 400 and 500 policies and
okay.
delete those.
Okay. And then the second, I was reading the proposed policy and I thought I pulled it up, but I didn't. It said that those policies could be used for primarily administrative procedures. Is that correct? And they could still be considered that? How is that different from a policy?
I'm not sure exactly what you're referring to, but there are parts of the policy that as we design administrative procedures that we would want to make sure our procedure is in alignment with the policy. I mean, you and I can look at that more carefully. I'd want to look at the very specific policy and part of it.
Okay, that's great. Okay, thanks. That's fine.
I would say that when we went through, I think I went through safety and I think virtually one at the time, and a lot of our policies are identical in just changing the words.
Correct.
And very redundant. So when you're going in, you're searching for a word right now, instead of pulling up a direct policy that can help you, you get bounced all over the place and words get pulled. But when we got rid of policies, we did keep the procedure wording just changed, it went into the same policy, but we eliminated, like, I'll just use the 300s because we're there, 301 gets eliminated, but the wording went into the 300, so it still held the same procedures, but, I mean, it was 100s and 200s took forever, because it was just repeated over and over again.
Yeah.
Look forward to that.
Are there any other questions or comments? So we're gonna keep that item as discussion next week?
Just in case.
Okay, we'll leave it as discussion. If there are no other questions or comments, then I'll remind everybody that our next meeting is Tuesday, January 14th at 6:30.